The Zimbabwe platinum miners have asked the government to defer its planned 5% export tax on concentrates pending the completion of smelters and the refurbishment of a refinery. The producers want the tax deferred until 2025, according to a proposal submitted by the Chamber of Mines of Zimbabwe to the Finance Ministry before the 2024 budget presentation later this month. The government is introducing the levy on shipments of platinum group metals concentrates to spur the development of processing facilities in Zimbabwe. This morning, Dr. Prosper Chitambara, Developmental Economist, joins me to shed more light on this. Doctor, it's nice to have you around.
Thank you so much for having me.
So let's start by doing a little bit of evaluation of Zimbabwe's mining sector. Zimbabwe holds the world's third largest known reserves of platinum. How would you describe its contribution to the country's GDP and overall economy?
Yeah, so it contributes approximately about 4% to gross domestic product. So it's one of the dominant sectors. It also contributes almost more than 60% to the country's foreign exchange earnings. So I think that's quite huge. And of course, the vision by government is that by end of this year, the mining sector should be a $12 billion subsector. Of course, we've seen growth. We've seen a lot of investments, a lot of exploratory activities across different minerals. And I think there's potential, given the trends that we've seen, especially in terms of the price of gold and other key minerals that we actually have, lithium also included.
Okay, now, Doctor, in March, the World Bank said that Zimbabwe's mining industry has the potential to attract about $12 billion in investment over the next 5 years if the country gets about $5 billion in terms of recapitalizing the sector. So I'm wondering, is there a possibility that accruals from the proposed 5% tax may also go into this sector's recapitalization? Is that the purpose? Is that the goal of the Zimbabwean government?
Well, I don't think that's the main goal. I think they are just trying to disincentivize the export of raw concentrates. So they are trying to encourage value addition. They're trying to encourage mining-based industrialization. It's not. They haven't really said that that will probably go towards the recapitalization. I think the recapitalization has largely been borne by the private players, the investors themselves. Government hasn't really indicated that they are intent on establishing a fund for recapitalization purposes.
Now, the platinum miners are not saying, considering what they have said and the mannerisms, they're not saying that the government should not go ahead and introduce the tax, but the clause is that it should be introduced after the completion of the smelters and refurbishment of the refinery. So do you consider that position logical? Because we know that the Zimbabwean government also has a plan for growth for the sector. And on the other side, the miners are saying, hey, let us improve the facility and the equipment in this sector so that it can create jobs, make it more robust, widen it up, make it more viable in terms of operations and revenue. So do they also have a point? Are we looking at a misunderstanding or a misalignment of projections or plans for this particular sector?
I think it's probably a misalignment. I think the miners have a point, and I'm sure government is going to heed or to listen to what they're actually saying. We have seen, especially the major players within that sector, I think they've been doing a lot in terms of trying to enhance their value additive capacity. And I think by 2025, their plans should reach completion. And I think that it would then be probably proper for the government to then come up with that export tax after they've invested in the processing plants and or what they're already doing at the moment. I'm hearing that they've made good progress, especially Zimplats. So I think it will be proper for government to postpone the imposition of that levy, 5% levy, until most of the players are actually done with what they are currently doing in terms of enhancing their
Now,
capacity.
okay, Doctor, now, aside the 5% increase in tax, the Chamber of Mines also said that an increase in the royalty on PGMs to about 7% from a previous rate of 2% was impacting the viability of the projects, the proposed projects. Now, with the mining sector currently seeing a decline in prices, would it be appropriate for government to lower the royalty fee pending the time, these price adjustments see a bit of positivity? Because if we are seeing increases in tax in this sector, multiple tax coming into this sector, it just might affect their operations and finances and,
Yes.
and all that. So would you say that there's a need for the government to have a recourse, a rethink on these proposals, on these tax proposals?
No, I think so. I think companies are facing a lot of viability challenges, of course, not just within the mining sector, but even across the rest of the economy, owing to the huge weight and burden of levies, taxes, and other duties. So I think government should actually consider lowering those levies. But what we've also seen with the mining sector, the number of levies have also given rise to smuggling. So there's a lot of smuggling of minerals within the mining sector in general. And one of the key reasons for that is the burden that is actually imposed by the levies and the taxes that government has actually imposed on mining. Because it affects, like I'm saying, the other sectors of the economy, which also probably explains why Zimbabwe is one of the highest informal economies in the world. It could be because of the high cost of compliance as a result of so many levies, duties, and other taxes imposed by government. So I think in order to enhance the viability of miners, I think we need to lessen the tax burden.
Let's now quickly take a look at a few reforms, if time permits, a few reforms of governments to increase the value of this sector. Now, quickly, I take you back to 2018. The government repealed the controversial Indigenization and Economic Empowerment Act, which mandated that foreign-owned mining companies cede about 51% of their equity to local Zimbabweans. Now, was that able to liberate the sector and, in a way, enhance foreign participation in the mining sector? I'd like to know.
Yeah, definitely. It had a huge impact in terms of allowing for new investments into the sector. I think that was a masterstroke by government. I think the indigenization policy was a major albatross in terms of our efforts to unlock the full potential, not just within the mining sector, but within the rest of the economy. So I think that was the right thing to do. It has allowed actually for a lot of investments and explorations within the sector.
So finally, Dr. Prosper, of course, we know that the government amended the Mines and Minerals Act in 2021 also, and that was meant to enhance clarity and predictability in the regulatory framework governing the mining sector, while also trying to create the Minerals Marketing and Regulatory Authority. So we see what the Zimbabwean government is trying to do, looking at these various reforms and the departments that is trying to bring on board to buff and beef up the mining sector. So I'd like you to just give more insights looking at these two areas, the Minerals Act 2021 amendment and the Minerals Marketing Regulatory Authority that were created. Just in about a minute, how would you term their performance and how they've been able to help the government achieve its goals for this particular sector?
I think it's always good to look at it from a more holistic perspective. Yes, the mining legislation contributes or can actually be a bottleneck in terms of unlocking the potential of the sector. But there are also other factors, like, for example, access to electricity. It's been a major challenge. Even the macroeconomic environment, there's also been a major challenge. So yes, the reform of the legislative reform agenda, it's been well received. But I think over and above the legislative reforms, we need to ensure that the macroeconomic environment, the tax regime, and also even access to utilities like electricity is actually assured. I think that then helps to ensure the sector actually reaches its expected potential.
Dr. Prosper Chitambara, a developmental economist, it was nice to have had the session with you. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Now, the Zimbabwean government is currently reviewing the miners' request anyway, and it is expected to make a decision before the presentation of the 2024 budget later this month. And we will continue to monitor that to see if they will accede to the demands of the Mine Workers Association. Now, the outcome of this decision, whatever the case may be, will have a significant impact on the future of Zimbabwe's platinum mining industry and the country's efforts to develop domestic processing capabilities, because that is actually the focus of the association. And it's all about having both of them come to the table to see how they can align, itemize, articulate both agenda to see how it fits in and improve the quality of the mining sector. That's it on Business Edge for today. Do not forget that you can follow us on social media. We are at New Central TV. Visit our websites, www.newcentral.africa. There's so many stories that you can engage yourself with on our platforms. And of course, download our mobile app on App Store and Play Store. Until another time where we get to see you again, do not forget, 11 a.m. West African time right here on New Central Television. News, of course, a Business Edge will be back with more business discussions for you. I am Lekan Onabanjo. We will bring you the news at the top of the hour, so don't go anywhere.